Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Scoop Slam Report. Here today, we had and a lot of tech issues, but we're here now. I'm here with Jonah. Jonah, how are we doing today?
I'm doing a lot better now that we're finally live to the masses. I wish we
Yeah,
could be live on my channel as well at the same time, but I just posted it in my community tab. For those who don't know, I'm Jonah of Rewind, Recap, Relive, R3. And I also interview wrestlers just like Anthony. And we've done some stuff in the past before, but I hoped this time was going to be the first time we live streamed on both channels, but it's all right. We'll do it in the future. For right
yeah.
now, gracing the lovely viewers that Anthony has to offer. Hope everyone's doing good as and excited as I am for SummerSlam.
We were trying to get a multi-stream going, and
Yeah.
for whatever reason, it wasn't working on Jonah's end, and I don't know why, but we'll figure that out. In the future, we'll get that going. And
Anthony throwing to the bus right off the bat. That's
no,
all
no,
right.
no, 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 no. I'm not throwing you on the bus. We literally tried everything. I
We
feel
did.
like, um,
And Anthony has the patience of a saint. And like, I've never live streamed on my channel before. And I guess the streak is staying alive. I still have never live streamed, but we will. I swear the first live stream I do will be with Anthony. And
yeah,
we'll make
probably
it.
so. Yeah. Um, so yeah, but thank you to everyone that stayed around and was kind of waiting for us to start here as we're going. Make sure to hit the like button on this video. I know we got some people filing in. For people that don't know Jonah, he has done so many great interviews. Sean Oliver more recently. He has interviewed Rene Dupree, Rob Van Dam. The list goes on and on. Mark Henry. Tell us a little bit about your channel before we kind of get into SummerSlam breakdown.
For sure. No, thank you. It's been 4 years now. I've been interviewing some great names in the business. I've had the pleasure to sit down with who Anthony named, most recently Sean Oliver, and the list goes on of awesome Hall of Famers I've had on of the industry and just legends in the making and a lot of rising stars too. The concept of my show is to have one rising star on alongside one veteran and almost have like a roundtable sort of discussion. The veteran gives advice to the rising star, and some great conversation happens. So that's one piece of it. And then more recently, I've been getting more of those one-on-one interviews on there too, because I know people like both types of interviews. So it's been really fun. Yeah, I mean, I've got some great content on the way. You mentioned Mark Henry, whose son just signed to WWE, which is
Right?
awesome.
Yeah.
And I've posted some Mark Henry clips. Who else have I recently had on? Prior to Mark, yeah, so I had Sean Oliver. You mentioned Rene Dupree, Paul London as well was a recent one. And yeah, I mean, the catalog goes, I'm at, I think, number 87 I'm about to put out interview wise. So the catalog is there. Go check them out, and you'll see some names you've never heard of, probably of the Rising Star variety that you will hear of soon. And you'll hear of some legends that you've watched growing up your whole life. So it's been a great journey.
And I'll throw the link of that in the description of this video as well, so you all can check that out. Um, as well as, guys, don't forget to hit the like button on this video. If you're just seeing this for the first time, hit the subscribe button. If you're new to the channel, whether it be live or whether you're a first time viewer, kind of seeing this in post, we're going to talk about SummerSlam because it's tomorrow, and there's some big matches on the show. I feel like SummerSlam is bringing the heat to Cleveland, and well, it's hot all over the world right now because the temperatures are just crazy.
Yeah.
Um, when you kind of talk about your level of excitement when it comes to this show, um, where would you kind of rank it? Because we obviously had the Rumble, WrestleMania, Money in the Bank. How are you kind of feeling about Money in the Bank? Oh, sorry,
Uh,
not Money in the Bank,
the
SummerSlam.
SummerSlam. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was like, how am I feeling about Money in the Bank? No, SummerSlam is awesome. I think the one thing that my friends and I keep talking about with this is that SummerSlam, this one more than ones in the past, has so much story heading into it. Like every match I feel has a great story that's been being built for whether it just be a few months to close to a year for some of them. And then you have the Bloodline one, which is really just a never ending in a great way story
Right.
that has peaks and valleys to it, and I think we're definitely in a peak, another peak of it right now with Solo and Cody.
Mhm.
But my excitement level is really up there, and it truly does feel, because I know everyone says like it goes WrestleMania and then SummerSlam. Although I do think most of the wrestling population would say Royal Rumble probably comes in between them somewhere. But
Yeah.
anyway, like on paper, it's WrestleMania is the biggest event, and then you've got SummerSlam, biggest event of the summer. And it really does feel like it this year. It really does.
Yeah, and, the show definitely has, I feel like, a lot of big championship matches where there could be definitely some switches that, could happen and take place, and, you know, we'll start out with Sami Zayn and Braun Breaker because that was a match that was on Money in the Bank, and, a lot of people thought that Braun Breaker, the internet wrestling community thought that Braun Breaker was buried, quote unquote. Um, and to me, I didn't think he was buried at all. Sami Zayn was his first loss on the main roster. He lost to Zayn. Zayn beat Gunther at WrestleMania. He deserves to have the Intercontinental Championship for, I feel like, at least 6 months. Have a decent run with the
That he
championship. Like, to me, that makes logical sense. Where do you see Sami Zayn and Braun Breaker going, and what's going on, Drake, the aerial assassin?
So I agree with you, first of all, about Sammy beating Gunther. Like, there's no way that if he topples somebody like Gunther, he loses like the first or second defense. And personally, I mean, I can't say that I was, you know, happy when Gable lost to Sammy, not too
Mhm.
long. And I was like, okay, I feel like Sammy should, he should lose it because the story was so good, but like Sammy battled through. And then now you have Breaker and Sammy battled through. And it's like you have these, it seems like whenever it's stacked up against Sammy, he manages to fight through it. And that's like he has that fighting champion aura around him. The fact that they're going up against each other again does make me think that Breaker is going to win, and especially with how he's being pushed. But you look at the pattern with Sammy and Gable, where Gable and Sammy, I think, fought what, like three times or something, and Sammy came out on top in the end. So I don't know. I would bet against Sammy because of the way we've seen Braun Breaker just come in and like destroy everything. But
Mhm.
I've learned over the last few months, don't bet against Sammy. He's a real fighting champion. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like Braun Breaker is going to get the W here. I really don't think WWE are gonna have him lose twice.
Right.
Um, Also, my thing would be, you know, Sami Zayn, typically we see with baby faces tend to not have the longest reign. The longest reign of this era was a heel Roman Reigns.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a good point.
and, Gunther also had a great run as the Intercontinental Champion, but he was also a heel. And I think Sami Zayn is best in the underdog kind of role.
Hmm.
I really thought that this match was going to turn into a triple threat with Ilya Dragunov, and that
Yeah.
didn't happen. I felt like the triple threat would have made more sense, and it would have been, a nice way for Breaker to pin Sami Zayn in a triple threat and get
Right.
Dragunov on the card. But we're getting the one on one, and I think this is where Braun Breaker takes home the gold, and this is where we really get to see Braun Breaker be, established and be a top guy in WWE. I almost wonder, do you think it's too soon for Zayn to drop the belt?
I don't think it's too soon, namely because of the defenses he's had. Like maybe in a WWE of a few years ago, I'm sure
Mhm.
people would say, "Oh, what are you talking about?" Like it's way too soon. But you look at what Sammy's fought through, and they're like strong opponents. Who else did it? So it was Gable and it was Breaker. Did he beat anyone else? Am I leaving someone off that list?
Um,
Has it just been those two so far?
I think he might have beat Bronson Reed.
Okay. But you look at the story that Gable and Sammy had and Sammy coming out on top. What I really liked about that too was it threw a curveball to us because we always expect, dastardly heel like Gable went after Sammy in front of his family, and then Sammy persevered and then they fought again. And I feel like
Mhm.
Gable won like a Raw, and then they fought again at the pay per view. And I really thought that Gable had his number, but he didn't. So I love that about Sammy. Although with this one, I do agree with you. I think Braun Breaker is going to come out on top. I don't really see Sammy beating him twice, especially just because I feel like that'd be a little bit of a disconnect, like of how he's been on Raw versus
Mhm.
how he's on like a major pay per view, um, or
Yeah.
PLE.
Um, I think that Sammy's had a good run with the title. I think a lot of people thought Gable was gonna win the belt, and that didn't happen. So, if anything, I think now is a good time for Breaker to get the championship. It proves that Braun Breaker is beatable, so he's not going to be Goldberg and have an undefeated streak or whatever. He's going to be, someone that can be beatable when he gets in too over his head, but he's going to
Yeah,
be someone that is going to carry the Intercontinental Championship for quite a bit, and probably
he'll
hold that
definitely be a strong.
championship.
He will be a very strong champion for sure. And what you said about Ilya, though, I would have loved to see a triple threat for the IC title, especially because, and we'll get into it, but you have Gunther against Damian, and I do believe that Gunther very possibly might come out champion of that, and it would have been really cool to have Ilya and Gunther as the two champs on Raw. I think that would have been awesome to see. But who knows? Maybe down the road, maybe in the future.
Well, let's talk about Ilya
Get
and
right into it.
not
Yeah,
Ilya,
Gunther.
Gunther and Damian Priest. It's been a long hour. Gunther and
Yes.
Damian Priest for the world championship. Um, this one I also saw like a lot of people talking about online. Um, Brian Cutler's in the chat. What's going on, man? Jake also said he had Braun Breaker. Uh, Talking about the Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley match. Well, we will talk about that in a little bit. But sticking with Damian Priest and Gunther, um, this is a match that many people online criticized that it didn't fit the build for a world championship level match. And these are two guys that I think have been, I don't want to say cornerstones because there's been a lot of cornerstones in WWE, but they've been guys that have wrestled 365 a year for WWE over 2023 and continue to do so over 2024, whether it be on live events or television. And they made this feud very personal between Priest and Gunther. And there's a lot to be said about what possibilities could happen. Do the Judgment Day cost Damian Priest? Do the Judgment Day get involved and Damian Priest still retains and he's, gets frustrated about it? Does Gunther end up walking into Bash in Berlin as a world champion? I'm going to go with Gunther as the world champion here. To me, I don't really see Priest holding the championship further past this point, and it's not that he's been a bad champion. I think WWE have been getting ready to pull the trigger on Gunther as a world champion and hold him in that light. To me, I think Gunther winning here will make the most sense, and I think
Yeah.
it'll be because Finn Balor and them come out.
Right. I agree with you. I think this is we see the culmination of, and all these storylines are kind of connected to, which is cool, but we're going
Yeah.
to see final point of Liv and Rhea and Damien and Gunther. Like the Judgment Day is going to have a major role, I think, in this entire card, or at least a portion of it. Um, and yeah, I think Damien loses as a result of Judgment Day, like you were saying, and it might have something to do wherever and Liv and Rhea fall on the card. I think it'll kind of work its way into that too, because I feel like there's going to be a split, if you know what I'm alluding to. I feel like Balor, Dominic, maybe JD are going one direction, and maybe Carlito, I guess too, and then Damien and Rhea another direction.
Yeah, and I mean, and also, guys, if you're just joining us, make sure to hit the like button on this video. Um, I talked about it with ABJ in another video, well, a couple Scoop Slam reports ago, about how, you know, you have the Judgment Day that have been a dominant figure on Raw. but they've been building up this tension between Damian and Finn Balor. They've been building up all these things that are going to come to a head, and eventually that has to happen. And I think SummerSlam is going to be the show where that does happen, and we will see, you know, Damian Priest lose that world championship, and probably because of Judgment Day interference. If he loses it straight up, I could totally see an evolution moment on Raw where they kick him out. You know
Yeah.
how Triple H did to Orton.
Oh, that's
Um,
so true. Yeah, thumbs down.
yeah, I could totally see that happening. Because the interesting thing, and this will also connect to the Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley match, which we can talk about next, is remembering early on WWE in 2022 wasn't the best creative that they had. But what happened with the Judgment Day, Edge formed the group, and then he took Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley under his wing. The original people that were fighting against the Judgment Day were AJ Styles, Finn Balor, and Liv Morgan. So
Yeah, I remember
those
that.
those people fought against the Judgment Day, and now we're seeing Finn Balor, who joined the group, and they kicked out Edge. Right?
Yeah,
He came in, they immediately kicked out Edge,
right.
and now Liv Morgan is, you know, part of the storyline with Rhea Ripley, but they were the original people that wanted to take down the Judgment Day. So they could do long-term booking here and decide to have a callback of this was a plan from the get-go, was
Can you
to
imagine that?
Finn
Like,
Balor used the Judgment Day to get ahead to try to be, you know, world champion again or whatever the case would be. But then he found a friend with Damian Priest. Damian Priest had the Money in the Bank contract. Finn Balor could never be the world champion with that whole thing going on. His feud
yep.
with Seth. He got pushed to the back burner to being a tag team guy with Damian just to hold the belts. And now Damian's the top guy. And now Finn's taking the losses. You know what I mean? Finn just lost to Gunther. And now if Damian loses that championship, it probably is either going to be because of Finn Balor and the Judgment Day, or Damian wins straight up and Balor says, "Well, now you're gone. You're out." You know?
Yeah, so when that all happens, as you just described it, you need to make a reel of what you just said because that all sounds really cool. Like that's I didn't even think about that. You're right. It was that like random trio of Balor and Liv and them. That long-term plan would be great, especially with everything that Liv's I know we're not there yet, but
Mm.
with everything Liv has been saying with like the revenge tour and she's taking everything, it'd be such a cool story to tell that they went inside, inside the judgment, they took it down from within. Yeah. Either way, I'm gonna say my final prediction for that is Damien is losing. I think Gunther is gonna be champion. I think it'll be
Mhm.
great for Gunther too. Like everything he's been doing is just so dominant. Even when he ends up on the floor after something, right? Like even if Damien ends up on top, if I feel like Gunther still comes out looking strong somehow, like he manages to walk away or run away or something, like it's like a powerful heel. I feel if that makes sense. I don't know. It's hard to get him like to get under his skin.
And what is up to everyone in the chat right now? I appreciate you all so much for coming in. Okay, I think I restored it.
Testing. Are we back?
Give me a second here. I think we restored it. I think we're
Yeah,
good.
yeah. We're back. We're back.
Guys, give us a thumbs up real quick. I think we're
Yeah,
good
I'm
now.
watching. I'm
Yeah,
watching it.
yeah,
We're
yeah. Okay, we got action. All right, sorry guys.
yeah.
We've been having these issues all day. It's
Someone's trying to
oh
take us down. I don't know who it is, but
yeah.
Kofi.
I guess someone
Someone
is taking us
coming
down.
after.
Someone does not like us our success. I guess.
Yeah,
Um. No. We were talking about Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan, guys.
that's what we
Give
were
it.
going into. Yeah, let's
Yeah.
just pick it up where we dropped the ball. Liv
Yeah.
Morgan, Rhea Ripley. What do you think, Anthony? Who's coming out on top in that one?
Um, well, if we go with the whole Judgment Day takeover thing, that's what we were talking about, the Judgment Day takeover thing. Um, I think you go Liv Morgan in this match and Dominic costs uh, you know, Dominic basically costs Rhea the match. And I,
Yeah,
I think the way we do it, this is the way I would do it, is Damien, they could do the chair spot again like they've done before with Liv. I think they did it with Liv and Becky and stuff. But I think you have Dominic maybe blatantly do the turn. And his reason behind it is Liv Morgan kind of showed him like Rhea Ripley basically controlled him into the Judgment Day.
right.
Like turned away from his family. Like really Judgment Day's always been heels, but the one person they manipulated into joining was Dominic Mysterio. So Dominic Mysterio to me should be someone that obviously he gets booed because of his dad and all that. I'm not saying he should go, face or anything. I think eventually he will be, but I think Liv Morgan almost tries to show him that things are better over with me than they are with Rhea because I'm not going to play you like Rhea has played you all along.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's where that goes. That would be my guess. I think it would be weird if Rhea Ripley wins here, but I you remember Jonah when we did WrestleMania predictions, I said Gunther was going to retain the Intercontinental Championship.
You did. Yep.
So like anything could really happen, and especially too
I think I
if
did too. Actually, yeah.
I think if going off of that, like WWE could decide all these matches are kind of predictable, so we're going to throw a swerve in there, and
Yeah.
Rhea ends up winning, and they do the turn at another point. But I feel like SummerSlam is going to be used again, like how WrestleMania was. It was a catapult to uh, continuing storylines and having new storylines. So I think you get Liv Morgan as retaining her world championship at least. Who do you got in this one?
Well, first I'll say I don't think predictability is a bad thing either. With like when the story's as strong as it is for a lot of these matches, I think it's great because I think we are, like you said, it's kind of like an ending point and new storylines can be formed from here. Because the Judgment Day stuff, I mean, especially if you look at it the way you just laid it out with that long term booking. I mean, how long has it been now, Judgment Day? 2 years or something? It's got to be like something like that with them
Yeah.
being legend then to now. So like, yeah, I feel like predictability is not always a bad thing, but they're definitely going to try to keep us on our toes. However, for this one, I do think Liv Morgan is going to win, and I think Dominic is going to turn like we've seen him, do in the past, to join the Judgment Day. I think it's going to be a big turn, and I think it's going to end one of the greatest romances that we've ever seen in WWE. Honestly, is Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio. It's so cool to have watched that unfold, but
Do
it is,
you think
yeah.
that come Monday Night Raw, Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley are kicked out of Judgment Day?
I think so. Yes, I think Damian and Rhea are going to be kicked out. If it's not on if it's not actually on SummerSlam, it'll become Monday Night Raw. I think they're gone, and I think it's because they're kind of slowly, like at least Damien is definitely turning more face. I mean, we've seen it leading up for months now with him kind of telling Judgment Day, like, you guys hang back, I've got this one myself. Like he's become more of a prideful champion more than anything, Damien. Like he wants to do it on his own. And then you look at him with Gunther now, a lot of it is I want to do this by myself. And
Yeah.
especially the role he's taking in the feud with Gunther too. That he's definitely more of a face.
And
And with
Rh
Rhea, it's yeah. I mean, come on, she could. I feel like overnight you could make her the biggest face of the company.
Rhea Ripley is already a face,
You
if you
could
think
say that,
about
yeah.
it.
When she gets cheers, I feel like she's still not fully there, but maybe I'm wrong.
No,
Maybe it's just really gradual, and we
but
just
I think
you know,
it's because it's not fully there is because she's still in the Judgment Day.
yeah. And once they're both out, they're going to be two of the biggest faces in
Because
the company.
whenever she would come out with
Yeah.
Dominic, she would get cheered, Dominic would get booed, and then fans would start booing then. But whenever she comes out, I mean, her return, she had a nice pop when she came
Oh,
back on Raw. Like, she already is a face in my estimation. And I think Rhea and Damien are more on the same page. So where now we can instead have them be faces and the Judgment Day can go into a new era of it with maybe Finn Balor trying to be the leader of it when there wasn't supposed to be a leader of Judgment Day. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it would start a new thing for the group. So I think that's really the direction we're gonna take here. So,
Hey Anthony,
um,
before you continue, what you got in the bag there? Is that some SVR I'm looking at? Some
oh,
SVR.
SmackDown vs. Yeah, hold on, wait a minute. I'll bring it up. Well, hopefully I
It's
don't got it on
blurred. I
purpose.
can't tell, but it looks sick.
That is SmackDown vs. Raw
Uh,
2007
I miss it.
for the
Best
PS2.
games. Yeah. No, this
What?
whole studio is really nice. I complimented it off camera, but I gotta let the viewers know too. It's look at the studio. It's
I
incredible.
appreciate that. Since we're doing the like the smaller thing, you can't really see it fully. I
Oh, they
do have
can't.
something
Oh,
to show
gotcha.
you because I know you're a big Hardy Boys fan, actually.
Huge. Which I heard they just talked to WWE officials today in Cleveland. So
Yeah,
maybe
that
a
was a
hard.
rumor that came out. This is
Oh, that's so
the
good.
autograph tee.
Wow, look at Jeff's signature too. It's like it's gorgeous.
And
That
Matt signed it V1.
dude, that's a great piece. That's a nice
Yeah,
collector's piece.
that's. Yeah, I mean, I don't like selling my stuff, so I don't think
Oh,
it'll
please.
ever. I don't think I'll ever sell it,
For
especially
your
because I'm a
own
big Hardy
collection,
Boys fan. So,
of course.
but yeah, that maybe I should do like a breakdown of it one day because there's all this. I do set it up, but like I kind of don't. I don't light it. I light it all on me. So,
Yeah.
but
No, let Anthony know, chat. Tell him to show it off one day. I want to see
do a
it.
little video on it. Yeah, that'd be kind of fun to do. Um, So we talked about Priest and Gunther. We talked about Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. We've talked about the Intercontinental Championship match. Let's talk about Logan Paul and LA Knight. I don't know what happened with Logan Paul on Twitter or X because I don't have X. I don't use it. Just I never really got into Twitter.
Yeah.
He like had a meltdown or something, or people just don't like what he was saying online. I don't know what happened, so I'm not gonna comment on it, but I'm pretty certain that this is LA Knight's moment to win the United States Championship.
Yeah, especially since there's history, not only between them story-wise, but history in WWE overall of having someone lose in their hometown. And Logan Paul, as soon as they dropped the news SummerSlam was going to be in Cleveland, he immediately was like, "I'm coming home and I'm, putting on a big show, bringing the belt." I do think there is going to be something big for him. I don't know what it is. I think that there's going to be like other celebrities there, or at least somebody. He alluded to like something like they're bringing Cleveland's King in for me. I don't know
Oh,
what, but there'll be something. But I do think he's losing. Yeah, and LA Knight. I mean, come on. Like, I know when did we do Money in the Bank predictions, or we mentioned it, but LA Knight. I think
no, we didn't end up
we
doing it,
didn't
but
we didn't do predictions, but I feel like LA Knight's been in the spot to capture something for so long now. And he's been doing great. It's fine that he hasn't. Like people are still behind him, but just give him that mid card title. I think he'll do great things with it. I feel like if you just give him that ball, LA Knight could really take it and like he could be a great champion, especially since it's kind of a I don't want to call Logan Paul a part timer because he's there pretty often, but the belt definitely isn't on every episode of SmackDown right now. So I think it'd be cool to give it back to someone who's on every episode, like an LA Knight.
and I thought there was a report that they were going to or Logan Paul was taking time off of WWE after SummerSlam.
Oh, okay, I didn't even see that, so that makes even more
It
sense then. Yeah.
was it was from a while ago, but again, rumors are we call it on the show speculation. That's what I always like to call it because not everything's 100%. Some people just make up stuff to put on the internet. So,
Those horrible, horrible people. Yes.
um, but I think it's time LA Knight has his crowning moment.
Oh,
The guy
absolutely.
is still over, even though throughout his losses, he's still as popular as he was.
Yeah.
So I think it's time we have LA Knight win the US championship. Um, Another championship match, the other women's match on the show, the Queen of the Ring, Nia Jax, is wrestling Bailey.
Yep.
Do we see, and I'll let you start off this one. Do we see Bailey retain, Nia Jax win, or Tiffy time become a reality and Tiffany Stratton get the WWE Women's Championship?
I don't think Tiffany cashes in yet,
Mhm.
especially since the first Money in the Bank we saw went away the same night, right? Like Drew lost it the exact same night. So I think we get that anticipation built for a little bit longer. So I don't think Tiffany cashes in at SummerSlam. Um, I think, well, first of all, we didn't even mention with Gunther and Priest. Awesome that King and Queen of the Ring get a title match at SummerSlam. That is so cool to me.
Yeah, bringing back the retro
Exactly.
vibe. It gives something in the summer as well
Yeah.
for wrestling because some of the time people call it like it's just a dead period, but it
Well, yeah,
gives
because
something for us to
so
look
far.
forward to.
Yeah, because we're so far from Mania and stuff. But absolutely no, it gives us a great thing to look forward to. I think Bailey's going to retain. I don't. I feel like this match could go either way. Honestly, it's probably the least predictable one on the show, just
Mhm.
because whatever happens, it'd be great for both of them. But they're also both established, so it's not like anyone needs. Like with LA Knight, it'd be really cool to give him that title because it would be his first. I think, right? Yeah, it would be his first.
Yes.
Um,
Well, other than the $1,000,000 championship in
other than
NXT.
yeah. So it'd be cool to see LA Knight win his first, but with this one, it's more like Nia's held gold, Bailey's held gold, so it's I want to see Bailey retain, but it'd be cool if Nia got the belt, especially for that Queen of the Ring momentum there to legitimize it. Kind of like the Rumble winners winning at Mania. But
And
I'm gonna still go with Bailey though.
I think she's gotten a lot better in the ring too. I think she
Yeah,
deserves a little more credit. I think she's
I
improved a
agree.
lot.
I agree. Yeah, I think there's always going to be those people who don't change their opinion no matter what. But I think that her match with Rhea and her match to qualify or to win Queen of the Ring with Lyra
That was
was
really
awesome.
good.
It was
Yeah.
really good. And the finish was crazy. The
Yeah.
uh the Annihilator, like that looked like it put her through the mat. It was great.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like a typical giant versus like David versus Goliath kind of thing. This was
Right.
like a match where Nia took a lot, and I thought like, wow, Lyra Valkyria might actually win this. So,
Yeah.
like that's how you know it's a good match when you can't really determine who's gonna win out of it
Yep.
because it like has an even pace. So I
Right.
wouldn't necessarily mind Nia winning here, but I'm gonna go with you and say that I think Bailey gets the edge here and wins against Nia Jax, and no cash in just yet for Tiffany Stratton. Now we got Punk and Drew
I'm checking out the
McIntyre.
chat right now too. We got a loyal 5 people chat right now. What do you guys think? I want to hear their predictions too. If you guys think that we're right or wrong. Does anyone think Nia could come out champion? I mean, I feel like it's up in the air,
Or
but
let us know if we're frozen again too.
yeah.
Uh,
You just brought up the most anticipated match I think of any show. So let's get into that. Yeah.
yeah, Punk and McIntyre with Rollins as the special guest referee. I am really interested to see how this goes because you're right. It's the most anticipated match on the show, and it's anticipated because Punk has not wrestled since January. Their
Yeah.
feud has been really good. It's really been a blood feud, and we're gonna have Seth Rollins in the middle of it. It's very interesting. It's very reminiscent of the SummerSlam from 1997 with Bret Hart and The Undertaker and Shawn
Yep.
Michaels as the referee, which is I think we're gonna get that same kind of finish where Seth Rollins is going to inadvertently screw CM Punk over, and Drew McIntyre is going to get the win and defeat CM Punk, and we're
Yeah.
gonna move into CM Punk and Rollins as a feud for the coming future. I don't think Punk and McIntyre will be over, but I think since McIntyre will have his win over Punk, it may move him into potentially trying to get the world championship again and maybe having a match against Gunther for the world heavyweight championship on the
Yeah.
show. Um, I do think McIntyre gets the W here, and that's how they continue the feud on with him and Punk, but they put a bookmark in it to do Punk and Seth.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of what you're talking about here. I think so. I'll start with who I think is going to win. Think Drew's going to win. I feel like Drew's like hotter than ever right now, but
Yeah.
I also think a lot of the anticipation, at least I can only speak for myself, is to just see CM Punk wrestle because we saw him in the Rumble, but the Rumble is different. You know, it's not like a just a regular match. And then he got injured, right? That was his first time I think in the ring, and he got injured. So I just want to see him have a match again in WWE. It's really because he returned, but it almost doesn't feel like he was ever back, you know, because
Yeah.
he got so quickly. So I really want to see that Punk classic that we're used to. Um, Although I do think Drew's gonna win. I don't know if it's gonna be Seth inadvertently screwing Punk or if it's gonna be purposefully because Seth doesn't like Drew but hates Punk, is what we've been told, right? So like that's how I feel the feud is. That's the direction it's pointing in. But I do think Drew's going to come out on top. I can't wait. Like this is my most anticipated match of the card. Like you said, it's been a blood feud.
Hmm.
Happening in it. I want to see where that bracelet comes into effect. I feel like maybe that's a manipulation tool they use in some way. Um, I don't know. It's going to be good. It's going to
Yeah.
be
And DK kind of said the same thing. I said Seth's going to pull a HBK at SummerSlam 1997. I think, one of your main events of Bad Blood might end up being Punk versus Seth Rollins.
yeah.
It makes
I
the most sense, you
Right.
know?
I would
Oh,
also love just I'm sorry to interrupt. I
no,
would
you're good.
really love to see Punk and Gunther too. If it ends up being Drew and Rollins going into one direction, oh my god, Punk and Gunther would be so cool.
My also main concern, and I'm not saying it to be funny or anything like that, genuine concern. I'm hoping that CM Punk does not get hurt in this match.
Yeah.
And again, I'm a big fan of his work. He's had a lot of injuries over the past 2 years.
Yep.
Like if you his AEW run, he had to vacate the belt. Then he ended up, I think he tore his tricep. I think, or I forget what the injury was in AEW. But he came back. He had that long hiatus because of Brawl Out and all that. He came back to AEW with Collision, and then had the last match in All In. He wrestled those matches fine, and then coming back to WWE, he got hurt in the Rumble. I just really hope for his sake, health wise, that we're not going to see another CM Punk injury, especially because this is going to be his first televised singles match in nearly 10 years, and
Yep.
especially at SummerSlam. This is his first SummerSlam match in a decade. Um, and I know there's going to be people that may want to watch it, to see him fail, because they are very, very, they have very strong feelings about him,
He's
whatever.
polarizing.
But
He's probably the most polarizing person in wrestling right now. Yeah.
yeah, but to me, I'm a big Punk fan. The injury, as you know, it changed WrestleMania, and as much as it sucked, it almost kind of helped him because his promo work, the thing of costing McIntyre,
Yeah.
became even better than just having someone wrestle every week or
Yeah.
wrestle at every PLE. it's made it more special because there hasn't been matches between them yet. It's the first time we're getting to see it, so it's a long buildup from, when this all started at the Rumble to now, and I really like that fact, and I almost wonder we may even get the rematch at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Like, we have a long stretch now between then where Punk wrestles some different people, the same with McIntyre. Maybe they meet in a War Games, helping two different teams or something like that. Maybe they meet in the Rumble again, and that's what sparks it up. There's so many different ways they can go about it that it's going to be really fun to see where it goes, and it's definitely anticipated. And I think the match, in a way, is going to be spotlighted more than Cody and Solo Sikoa. And it's not a knock on Cody or Solo. I just think that the intensity of Cody Rhodes versus Solo Sikoa isn't all there. Like, they've been building up the new bloodline, but when it comes to Solo Sikoa, Solo didn't have a match on WrestleMania.
Right.
Solo has eaten a lot of losses, and now they're starting to build him up. But the thing about it is, I don't think people are used to him talking on a microphone because he was always the enforcer that didn't say much.
Yeah.
Um, and he's trying to be the tribal chief. And I always see people talking online about SmackDown desperately needs Roman Reigns to come back. They need Roman. I don't wanna, and it's not me hating on Solo, I just think people aren't used to it. I don't think people are used to him being this tribal chief character, and I just think that a lot of the eyes are on Punk and McIntyre more so than Cody and Solo. Would you kinda agree with that kinda sentiment?
Oh yeah, it's gonna be one of those like when you look back at SummerSlam because I feel like they are gonna. Why wouldn't you have Cody and Solo main event? But from a story perspective and anticipation perspective, I feel like years from now, people are gonna look back and say, "No, Punk and McIntyre and Rollins as the ref, that was the real main event." You know what I'm saying? Like there are
Yeah.
those time. I think WrestleMania is one of them. What was it with Batista and Undertaker and I forget what the actual main event or
It
what people.
was, yeah, I know what you're talking about, was Batista and Taker, but the main event was Shawn and Cena.
Yeah, and a lot of people say that the real main event was Batista and Taker because that match was just great. But so going back though to this, I feel like Solo, like you're making a lot of good points. Yeah, I don't think people are used to him on the mic. I also think it's just hard shoes to fill.
Yeah.
Roman Reigns is like a generational talent. Like I truly don't think we're gonna see someone like him again for years and years, decades to come. Like that is able to put on a reign like that and make you care so much about not only the day they won it, but just as much the day they lost it, like Roman did. So I don't think it's easy for you to just put Solo into those shoes to fill and then give him his own like bloodline. I think they know that though. WWE, and I think they're like, okay, people aren't going to take to this well, but it's going to make him a good enough heel to just carry the boots of Roman Reigns for a little bit until he eventually does return. This match does shock me though. I didn't think they'd actually give Solo a shot at the WWE title. Like maybe not ever, but not this soon. So I guess we'll see. I'm pretty certain Cody's going to win. I think it'd be very strange for Solo to take it and go on a run with it now. But I'm going to go with Cody. But, it's also one more thing that I think takes away from Solo is putting him with someone like Jacob Fatu, who is just
Yeah.
amazing and has such a crazy aura about him. And then you have Solo, who is fine, but he's just not Jacob Fatu. And I think everyone knows that. Like, Jacob is gonna be a main eventer very soon. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Cody for this one with a lot of shenanigans, I think, though, from Bloodline and other things
Let
too.
me ask you the question here. Who returns, if anyone returns at SummerSlam? Jimmy Uso? Do we have Roman Reigns? Or do we have the wild card here because everyone's expecting Roman? Do we get The Rock to return at
Oh,
SummerSlam?
The Rock is a good one. I actually was thinking a fourth one too,
Oh,
that
go ahead.
I feel like Brock Lesnar is a possibility with all of this stuff. Maybe not yet. Maybe not. I mean, SummerSlam is his show. Like, I feel like he is like a Mr. SummerSlam candidate, but I do think he'll return at some point for this feud for the War Games. I think it'd be really cool because they put Heyman down for Brock and Roman to be side by side. And he's like the fifth member of like the old bloodline. Maybe it's too out there. But for
I get what you're saying with that. My
a
thing
lot of
is
people don't
this.
think Sami Zayn would be
Yeah.
like, yeah,
I mean, I haven't talked about it too much, but let's talk about Brock for a minute because a lot of people have talked about Brock and are like really excited for him to return. In which Brock Lesnar, the character, I mean, I completely understand why people want Brock Lesnar to return.
yeah, the character, yeah,
Yeah, the reason why, and I don't understand why social media doesn't get it, but like the reason why Brock Lesnar has not been on WWE television or barely mentioned is because Brock Lesnar is part of the lawsuit with Vince McMahon because
yeah,
they've publicly said that he has to be cleared by WWE legal. So that's a big deal. And if it turns out to be the case where everything is proved innocent or he is proved innocent, I don't have a problem with him coming back to TV and being a part of anything. But I don't really know. This is my other thing too is that do we really need Brock Lesnar anymore? The guy he came back in 2012. He's been there since, I mean, his last match was against Cody. So he had an 11-year run.
yeah. He
You know what I
did.
mean? Like it
He's had two careers there, and
yeah.
no, he's not with the current landscape. No, he definitely doesn't need to be there. The reason that I brought it up, because obviously the lawsuit, all of that stuff. Yes, someone just did ask Triple H about it, and Triple H's response was kind of like, we if he wants to be a part of it, he can reach out and will, Brock Lesnar do what Brock Lesnar does. But it seemed more it seemed more open than like it had been in the past. So I don't know if he is still embroiled with all of that stuff. Again, I don't speak about it much either because what opinion can we possibly have on it that
Yeah.
that
And
would right?
there's a victim involved with it, you know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Yeah,
Like
so it's like it's not our area
yeah,
really.
and at the end of the day too, like I said, Brock as a character, I enjoyed him as a character. Um but I also feel like Triple H's statement was more so um it seemed very open-ended,
Yeah,
but it also wasn't something like we're going to make speculation with this. You know what I
fair.
mean? It wasn't something like with Tony Khan and Shane McMahon, like them leaking the photo or, it was like something like that where like people kind of talk about it. Um, and it's just like the Rock's coming back to do more
Yeah. Oh
matches.
yeah, he's absolutely, yeah, it's not done.
You got Cena with the retirement tour that's coming up too. So it does take spots up on the roster.
Yeah.
It does. So that's where I'm kind of like, man, I don't really know if that's really needed. If anything, to me, if there's anyone that should help Roman, it should be Cody. Because Cody's point when he fought Roman was that, solo's your meal ticket. This isn't a family.
Yeah.
Soon enough, Jimmy and Jay will start to leave you, and kind of that whole thing. They built that up, and to me, I almost think that if Roman is going to return at SummerSlam, he's going to help Cody retain that championship against that bloodline that has been ruthless and dominant. But my other thing is then, do they wait to have Roman come back?
I don't think Roman's going back yet at SummerSlam. I don't think so, at least. I feel like he can come back at Survivor Series for War Games. Right now, I think that Jimmy Uso is going to return at SummerSlam.
I could see that. I think they'll have Orton and KO try to neutralize everything. I almost think it's more of a possibility that The Rock shows up.
Interesting. I would love that. Especially I don't really know his like they always talk about, oh, what's the Rock's schedule? Like I have no idea. Does he have time off to do another run in WWE
Well,
or
there
who knows?
there was a report that his movie finished up,
Oh, cool. Okay.
but I honestly I see it. What's up, EW1? I see it going from you had he teamed up with Roman at WrestleMania 40, right? You
Yep.
had that. WrestleMania 41 is going to be The Rock versus Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship. Something you mentioned actually when we did WrestleMania predictions.
Yep.
And then I think WrestleMania 42 is when we get The Rock versus Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Three,
Which is
three, 3 years worth of storytelling there. You
3
know,
years of storytelling and easily probably one of the biggest matches in WrestleMania history. And I do think it's cool because we saw they asked The Rock, what was it? Like, was 40 going to be the time you guys did that? Roman and Rock, and he said, yeah. Or was it 39? Like, we were locked in for that, but we couldn't think of anything unprecedented. And
oh, my
now
battery's near
I know
end.
I said that we'll wrap it up. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
so
do,
yeah.
yeah. Roman and Rock, WrestleMania 42, you said, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I agree. I think Cody's taking this against Solo though. That's my final prediction. And I think we see Jimmy Uso. So you say The Rock. Way different ends of the spectrum with those returns, but both of them would be equally as cool because I think Jimmy needs to earn the trust back of, the good bloodline, meaning like Jay and Roman and stuff.
No, you're completely right for sure. I think that I almost think it's going to be a slow burn. If Jimmy does come back, I totally see him trying to repair things with Jimmy and Jay. You know,
Yeah,
that's what I kind of see there.
right.
Um, but again, there's a lot of different things that could end up happening. So
Yeah.
since the battery is near end, I think it
Yeah,
would be a
let's
good
send it
time we
home.
close up shop because we've tried to stream since 5 o'clock. But we got at least to do our predictions. Um, thank you also, Jonah, for coming on.
No, it's
And
been so much fun. I'm like, yeah, we've been doing this what, yeah, 5 or something,
if
4:30, like it's
if
been
anything, I will
yeah.
come on to do a live stream on your show, and we won't have to
Yeah,
worry about multi-streaming
there
because
you
I feel
go.
like we worry about that again, it could just turn ugly again. I
Yeah,
think
I
that's a
feel like
better idea.
it'll be a feud actually between the 2 of us if we try that again. Yeah, we won't like each other anymore. I'm kidding. But yeah, come on, yeah, please come on to my show because I haven't done a live stream yet, and you would be a great first guest for that. And I don't know, what's the next pay-per-view after SummerSlam?
Bash in Berlin.
Bash and Burla, well, we probably, depending on the time difference, let's see how that works out, but we'll definitely get a live stream going soon. 100%.
All right, yeah, that sounds like a plan. You heard it here first. I put Jonah's link in the chat. I can do it again, and I will as well. If you've not already subscribed to him, make sure to subscribe to Rewind, Recap, Relive. Jonah does some excellent interviews, and he has a whole massive library, big catalog of interviews on his YouTube channel. So go check that out and support
Thank you.
him. Make sure to subscribe to both channels if you can. Do you have
Yes.
memberships at
I
all?
don't. No
Okay.
memberships. Just a bunch of interviews. Go check them out. Anthony gave some great ones at the beginning. We've got Maven, Rene Dupree, Mark Henry, Sean Oliver. Those are just some recent ones, but like such a great catalog. And back to you, Anthony. You've got a great catalog too for just really doing it more recently. I mean, you've got what Justin Gabriel you had on, right?
Yeah,
Snits,
We had Gabriel Stitsky and Mark Henry. Those are the
which is
big
a
three.
huge. I mean, for yeah, that's a big catalog. Tony Cheney, I think you said too, old friend of mine from the days when I first started too. It's really awesome.
Yeah, and I've been focusing a little more on doing like this podcast and all that, but I think eventually, hopefully, it's very hard to get interviews. But
Yes.
hopefully, we'll have some more EW1 sub to you as well. Appreciate the
Thank
love,
you so much. I'm
EW1.
not looking at the chat. I swear I'm not ignoring you guys, but I just
EW1 has some good content, by the way, as well.
oh, let me go check it out. I'll subscribe to you back. EW1.
Um, So yeah, I think we're gonna wrap this up here. Like I said, appreciate you for coming on and us talking. Like I said, we'll do a stream on your channel. That way we'll make it up. I hope everyone has a great weekend. SummerSlam coming up. If you're
Um,
gonna be watching SummerSlam, we're gonna have a good time watching that. And there's a lot of big matches on that. If you missed this live, make sure put your predictions down below or tell us how wrong we were on Sunday. Um, Make sure to like this video, give it a subscribe. Memberships are open, so if you do want to support in that way, you can. Really am grateful for all members and anyone that wants to donate money like that. Appreciate that. And we'll see you again right here on the Scoop Slam Report, right on the Anthony Leonetti Show. Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you all very soon. Let's get out of here. I'll see you guys on the next one.